So, a lot of young men and women out there are probably getting a ton of misinformation right now on finance. I remember when I was young, when I was just in my early teens, and how insecure I felt and how money seemed so important to me, and the accumulation of wealth seemed so important. So, I did a lot of some reading and studying, starting from about the age of like 15, let's say. So 15 onward, I did a lot of studying, and it was only in my mid 20s where I started making some when I felt that the effort I had put in was starting to pay off, let's say. So it took me some time and it required some faith. But with young people today, if you're born, let's say, if you were born in 2005, maybe in 2000, if you were born in this century, think about how wild that is. You haven't even experienced the dot-com bubble and collapse, and you probably don't even remember the Great Recession, which was a very severe recession, in some ways more severe than the recession that occurred in 2020 because the causes were different. So you have a lot of misinformation now about the underpinnings of wealth and the underpinnings of wealth building. And after all, that's the most important thing. That's the key. What people that are insecure and that want more material resources, what they do, what they want is to get wealth. That's in the end, that's what you want. You don't. It's not about the crypto gains or the stock gains, and it's not about money always. It's not even about money from the purest perspective, because the kind of the principles that I'm going to be talking about here, they're applicable anywhere, any place, and any time. Whether you're in a capitalist society like ours, or you're in a communist society like the Soviet Union used to be, or you're in a more tribal society like most people have lived throughout history, or you're in a feudal society, or just any kind of society, any kind of place, any kind of human arrangement, even an agricultural society. So tribal and agricultural. That's kind of I guess when I said tribal, I meant agricultural. Tribal is a little different. So the out of all the ways you can arrange society, probably these principles are applicable to agricultural onwards. But if you're living in a tribal way, you're probably not good. They're not going to be that applicable, because when I say tribal, I assume in a in a manner that's very close to subsistence, possibly hunting and gathering. So not agriculture. So once you have agriculture, you're no longer considered a tribal society. And then I have a ton to say on agriculture and a lot of interesting reading that I've done over the last few years on agriculture and the effects of agriculture on humanity and human civilization. And there's some really interesting authors like, Yuval Noah Harari. I'm sure everyone knows about this guy now, but very, very intelligent guy. Yuval Noah Harari, an Israeli an Israeli historian basically, but he's far far more than just a historian. His work and his thinking touches literally every topic that touches humans. So from anthropology to history to economics to psychology, he is a pretty amazing guy and an amazing thinker. And so yeah, he says, tribal societies, we may have been better off because we weren't focused on anything besides our animal-like approaches to life. It's going to be hard for me to get. I'm not going to get into the details of that book here because that's not the point of the video. But I highly recommend it. The book is The book is *Sapiens*. It's about Homo sapiens. It's called *Sapiens*, but he has another amazing book called *21 Lessons for the 21st Century*, which I highly recommend. He also has another book called *Homo Deus*, but I haven't read that yet, so I can't necessarily recommend it. But knowing Yuval, I bet you it's a great book. But so what am I getting at? We're not in a tribal society. We're in one of those other societies. Probably you're in a modern capitalist society. Probably if you're listening to my voice now, or sometime in the near future. But you could be in any society, and kind of the principles of wealth building are still probably gonna apply. So that means the principles have to be general enough that they're not going to be related to Robinhood and trading Dogecoin on Robinhood, because another place, another time doesn't have Robinhood, doesn't even have an iPhone, and has no idea what the heck Dogecoin is. So They have to be universal principles. And we have to start educating the youth. And I'm not that old, I'm in my 30s. So, but I feel I have a responsibility, a bit of a responsibility to at least impart a morsel or two of knowledge that I've gained over the years to anybody who is willing to just open up and accept that knowledge. I think there's useful knowledge to be gained. So the principles of wealth building are not magical. They're not difficult to understand. They've been articulated by thousands of people throughout history. You can pick up any book that I would recommend, and in that book you would see principles of wealth. Maybe not completely in a single book. Maybe it would take a few books to get a bit better picture of things. But this is not something I created. This has been written about in the past, and I would argue it's been written about even in the Bible, even in religious texts. I'm more familiar with the Bible, but I know that in the Bible there are wise quotes about planning, about building a future for yourself and for those you love. I'm not a scholar of the Bible by any means, but just quotes that come to mind, and I don't even know, the right. I can't even reference where in the Bible these quotes are from. That's how little of the Bible I know. But the quotes are such. Um, One quote was, "In the house of the wealthy are stores of oils and riches, and the poor squander everything away." Or another quote, "Before you begin building a tower, make sure you measure the cost, lest you begin to build it and are unable to finish. And those who see you mock you and say, 'Look, that man began to build a tower and was unable to finish.'" Or quotes like, "Those who have will have more, and those who don't have much will have what they have taken away from them." That's a fucking harsh quote, isn't it? That puts chills down my spine. That that kind of intense quote. But in my own life, I've seen that being true. When when people are doing well, when people are successful, when they have a lot of resources, somehow it's so much easier for resources to just come to them. They're like a magnet towards wealth and resources. But other people that don't have much, they're they're the ones that have the negative shit happen to them. So you have, for example, you have a rich guy in a rich suburb. He's doing very well. He has a nice car. Just everything's going well for him. He goes into the car dealership, and let's say he needs something done. He goes to the car dealership. He still has a new car, but something fucked up in that car, and the warranty is going to cover it. So the service advisor comes out, and he says, "Sir, look, you have this malfunctioning thing, but since you got a new car recently, it's still under warranty, and everything's going to be okay. We're going to take care of it. Enjoy this nice espresso, this nice cappuccino, in this nice lounge, and your car will be ready in a few hours. Or take a shuttle and go back to work or go back home. And it's no big deal. You can take time off work to do that kind of errand." A poor person, on the other hand, their car is not insured, their car is not under warranty. Maybe it's insured, but it's not under warranty. Something fucks up on their car. They don't. Where are they going to take it? First of all, they're not going to take it to the luxury dealership where they got the car from, right? They're going to take it to a random mechanic. That's already just the whole experience. I'm not going to go into every single thing, but just imagine they take it to a random mechanic. They're missing work. They probably have a hard time taking time off work. They probably are not easily able to work in a lounge or in a home setting. They probably have to be physically present for their work. And so two completely different worlds. So, and then on top of that, the actual cost of fixing it, the rich person gets it taken care of because of his warranty, and the poor person has to pay out of pocket. But you could take that to an absurd degree. You could truly take it to an absurd degree. Because the richest, if you're still paying, you're not that rich. The richest and most powerful people in the U.S. and generally in the Western world, but more so the U.S. because we're far less egalitarian in the U.S. The richest and most powerful people here don't have to pay for anything at all. So if you're still paying for it, you're middling. You're okay. You're average, but you're not that great. Once you really, once you really get to the top of the power and income and wealth structure, you're not going to be paying for as many things. Look at celebrities on the red carpet, everything they're wearing, gifted to them, provided to them, rented to them for free. People are begging them to wear these products. If you're truly powerful, people will give you stuff. Look at all the successful and power is in so many different ways. Look at the power of the media and power of influence. Look at all these people on YouTube that are getting tons of free stuff, tons of free YouTube um, products. Like say I have a YouTube channel on shoes or watches or whatever, especially technology. A lot of times I get you would get stuff mailed to you. Like a lot of the a lot of the channels I see all the time. They're like, oh, I got this thing mailed to me. I got this mailed to me. Tesla channels on Tesla. They say, oh, I got this moonroof. Okay, I have a Tesla and I want to get a moonroof. I have a Model Y and I want to get not a moonroof. What am I saying? I want to get a screen for the Model Y's insane glass panoramic roof. I looked on YouTube. I tried to learn about these things and find the best one. And a ton of these people that have a good following on YouTube, they're getting this stuff for free. I had to pay for it, but they're getting this stuff for free. Of course, they're getting it for free because that company has an incentive to provide them that for free. But that's kind of besides the point. The point is that in this type of society that we live in, it's not that the poor get more help or the ones that are not doing very well get more help. It's that things compound. And the Bible wrote about that, and it seems true today. It seems universally true. It seems like it's a principle of physics almost, that things that have stuff, like gravity, like a planet, like a sun, they're going to attract more things. It seems like a universal law of nature, but it also seems so cruel. It seems so fucked up, doesn't it? To say that if you don't have much, even what you have is going to be taken from you. And if you have a lot, more will be given. That's so difficult, but that's something that we all know in our hearts to be true. Just all the time. My entire life has been an example and testament to this saying. My I remember the first time I put some money in a savings account and I had interest coming in back when interest rates were reasonable over a decade ago. And I was like, whoa, are you joking me? Just interest, putting money in the bank, interest is going to start coming in. What if I had 100 times more? What if I had 1,000 times more money in the bank? How much interest would I be getting? That perspective is not just applicable to savings account. It's applicable everywhere, whether you're a successful corporate person, a successful business person, wherever you are. The more you have, the more you're going to attract. The less you have, the less you're going to attract. That's a cruel and weird thing about the universe. And I don't quite understand it. But what that means is that you have to, at some points, take the leap. Take the leap from where you are to the place of having. Maybe that means you have zero today, and you realize that if you're going to have zero tomorrow, nothing good is going to come your way. So you have to take some leap, do something to get $10 tomorrow, and then do another thing to get $10 again. And that will compound, and that will compound. That effort will compound. You're going to basically have to do a 0 to 1 thing. And I don't even know how that works. I don't know how to do it. But if you don't have much now, you need to do something to accumulate. Thinking about how you're going to turn the little amount that you have into more won't do it. If you have a little bit now and you want to have a lot, you're going to have to go out and get a lot. Because that little amount, it's going to be very difficult to turn it into something big. And that's just the math of it. So if you have $100, you're much better off going to work and saving up 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. Now, if you have 100,000, you're in a bit of a more tough spot. You're going to go to work. You're going to save 1,000. That's only going to represent 1% of your 100,000. You have 1,000,000. Now you have a lot already. Now you're considered to have a lot in 2021. Now, if you go save another 1,000, it's a very tiny amount. Now, if you go save 10,000, that's 1% of your entire amount. So that million, if it earns 10% a year, it's gonna earn 100,000 for you a year. It's gonna earn over like about 10,000 a month. So going out and saving that amount is gonna be much more difficult unless you're a very high earner. I'm assuming you're not going to be earning that much where you could easily save 10,000 after tax a month if you have $1 million. But somehow you accumulated that million, you saved, and that money worked and did its thing. And now you're sitting here with $1 million. You're in a completely different realm. You're in a completely different world. Now that money's working for you. Now that money's like that sun or like a planet. Now gravity is working its magic, and money is being pulled towards that nice $1 million amount. But at $100, it's not that the effect is less. It's not that the effect is less by the factor that 100 is less than a million. So what is that? 10,000 times less. 100 is 10,000 times less than a million. But it's not the case. It's not the case that the pulling effect that's going to be exerted by that $100 is going to be 10,000 times less than the one on the million. That's not going to happen. Let me say this again just so I'm clear. You have the $1 million and there's a pulling effect. With the interest with gains, you're going to be pulling money. You're going to say 10% as an assumption. You're going to be getting 100,000 a year. Does that mean you're going to be getting 10% for 100, or you put 100 in and now you're getting 10%, so you're getting $10 a year? Does that mean the same thing? No, it doesn't. Because maybe in 2021 it'll be closer to it, but no, it doesn't. It never will, because that $10 that's going to come to that 100, it's going to be eaten away. You're just not going to have, you're going to have fees, you're going to have a ton of stuff that's going to go along with that in the real world. In the real world, not in the theoretical landscape. When you actually put the money into the account, unless you're putting it into Robinhood, but when you're putting money into some account and you're earning 10%, there's going to be transaction fees. But then nowadays there's less of that. So a lot of these things are changing. I don't know. I just don't think that the wisdom is going to change. I think the wisdom's still going to apply, but it's moving closer to that million. See, if I said it 5 years ago, where you had a $5 trading fees on almost every platform, in that case, you would, I mean, it would just be a joke. $100. If you gain 10 and you're just to buy and sell, you're gonna give that 10 away. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. But in today's world, with free stuff like Robinhood and basically free brokerage trading for most individuals, it's a bit different. It really is, and I'm unsure about how to think about that. It is a bit different, but I think the principle still applies. It's just that it applies a little bit less. I think that in the extreme sense, as we if we move forward in time and we become much more technologically powerful and savvy, and everything decreases, costs decrease, then I think that 100 will get closer to that million in terms of its pulling ability, the purity of its pulling ability. But I think there will still be other factors that are gonna skim some money off that 100. That 100 is never going to be able to do for you in the real grand scheme of life what that million would do. Because if you want to live on that money, on that 100, you're not going to even be able to buy a cup of coffee. But on that million, you can live on that money at 10,000 a month and still grow your money, right? So there's always a threshold. When you know how much money you need per month, you know how much money you need per month, and you have a savings amount. You start at zero and that savings amount increases. At some point, you're going to have a sufficient amount of savings that it can finance your daily life. Say you want 5,000 a month, so you need a certain amount of savings to finance 60,000 a year then. 5,000 times 12, that's 60,000 a year. So you need to get 60,000 a year in money. So what are you going to do? At 10%, that's 600,000. At 5%, that's 1.2 million. So say you have 1.2 million and you're earning 5% on it, it's going to give you 60,000. But $1 below that, $1 below 1.2 million, and you still have to somehow go out there and work from a theoretical perspective and bring that extra dollar in yourself if you need to live on 60. But $1 more, $1 than 1.2 million, and now you're earning more than the 60,000. You're earning a small amount more, and you could save that. Doesn't seem like much, right? But let's keep it going. Now, let's say you have enough money where you're not making, you have enough money saved where you need 60, but now you're making 2.4 million a year. So you're making Now you have 2.4 million a year, so you're making 10 off that 5%. You're making 10,000 a month. Now you could save 5,000 a month by having 2.4 million instead of 1.2 million. You're gonna double what you're bringing in from your investments and interest, but you don't need all that. You only need 60. But now you're bringing in 120. You're bringing in 10,000 a month, 120. So you could save 60 a year. That will increase as your nest egg grows. And so once you reach the critical threshold of being able to provide for yourself just on your investment income, which is very hard to do, very tough to do, but once you're able to do that, then 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 it's just a very easy downhill. It's like going uphill on a bike, and then it's all downhill from there, because now you have enough to live on and you have even more to save. So your nest egg is increasing while you still have enough to live. That's an incredibly privileged. That's a very tough thing to do. That's very hard to get there. Very few people in the world are there. But that kind of understanding will help us think about where we are now. So where we are now is in a place where we have choices. We can either focus our energies as much as we can on investing the small amount of money we do have, investing, and trying to maximize the returns. And it gets very, very appealing when the sirens of crypto are in your head and you see Dogecoin going up 50 times in 2021. But you can also back away from that, take a little bit more of a diversified approach. Still, you could make cool bets, risky bets, but not be so obsessed with turning your 1 penny into 2 pennies into 4 pennies. But instead, backing off and saying, how can I actually accumulate more? How can I get more stuff, more money, more capital? How can I get it? Business, work, tough. That's tough. Tough question to do. Tough question to answer, and you have to answer it for yourself. But that's going to be the path. That's the path until you hit a certain amount of money. I don't know where that is. It's not until you hit enough money where you don't need to work. Not until that retirement amount we talked about, but a certain big amount. So if you have $10,000, you're still middling. You're still just starting off. Stop it. Stop focusing on how to take that 10,000 and make it into 100. Quit that. Instead, focus on how to bring in another 10,000 pretty soon, and then another one after that. But first, focus on the first 10,000. Just go, bring in $10,000. Figure that out. That's going to be a much, much better, more psychologically healthy, confidence boosting approach than the anxiety filled approach of just trying to act like you're a hedge fund manager when you don't really know anything about investing, and you don't really know about the markets, and you're really new to this, and you're just feeling FOMO. So it's terrible advice what I'm giving you. Nobody wants to hear this crap. Everyone just wants to hear what they want to hear, and they want to be entertained and coddled. But unfortunately, I don't think that would be appropriate for me to do. I think I have a much more serious obligation to anybody who's listening to tell them the truth and to be honest with them, even though the truth kind of sucks, right? The truth sometimes sucks. So, to reiterate, until you have enough money, stop focusing on playing trading games and start focusing on bringing in more money. Because we need to remember the underlying principle, probably grounded in physics, that says that those who have are going to attract more, and those who don't have a lot are going to find it very difficult to attract. And in fact, they're going to have what they do have taken from them. That seemingly cruel, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not cruel, but it seems cruel to me right now. That seemingly cruel way of life. And when you are trading crypto, when you're trading stocks like a fool, what you're doing is you're basically saying, let me take that ancient saying and let me make it a reality here today. Let me make that saying a reality in my life today. Those who don't have much will have even what they have taken away from them. And when you play games with your money, when you toss it back and forth in stupid investments that you don't know about, instead of being prudent and managing your risk and focusing on truly developing yourself, that is when you're going to take that saying and bring it into reality once again. That's when you're going to take that saying and make it real and manifest it